The airport was buzzing that morning. Travelers rushing, security lines snaking around corners. Amid all that chaos, a calm, uniformed man walked toward the gate, his posture straight, his badge gleaming under the lights. But within minutes, that same man, a respected black police sergeant, was forced against a wall, his wrists locked in cold metal cuffs, while two white officers barked orders like he was a criminal. The passengers froze. Phones came out. The world seemed to stop. And then one phone call changed everything. Sergeant Marcus Hill had served nearly 15 years in law enforcement. That morning, he was traveling in full uniform, heading to Washington, D.C. to attend a National Police Leadership Summit. He was proud of that uniform, not just because it represented authority, but because it symbolized the battles he'd fought to wear it. The late nights, the community work, the way he'd earned respect from officers who once doubted him. But as Marcus stood in line at the airport cafe, he noticed two local officers nearby. They stared at him for a few seconds too long. Not curious, not friendly, skeptical. He brushed it off. He'd been through that look before. Still, something in his gut whispered, "They don't see a fellow officer. They see something else." Moments later, as he moved toward the boarding gate, the officers followed him. One of them, Officer Dawson, called out sharply, "Hey you! Stop right there." Marcus turned calmly. "Yes, officer?" Dawson's partner narrowed his eyes. "That badge real?" The passengers nearby glanced up. A few frowned, others started recording. Marcus frowned slightly but kept his voice even. "It's real. I'm Sergeant Hill, Metro PD." He reached for his wallet to show his credentials. But before he could open it, Dawson grabbed his wrist. "Don't move!" Click. The sound of handcuffs snapped through the air. A woman gasped. A child started crying. Marcus stood still, stunned but composed. He'd trained dozens of rookies on restraint, and now here he was being treated like a threat. He spoke quietly. "Officer, you're making a mistake." Dawson scoffed. "Yeah? We'll see about that." As they dragged him toward a wall, Marcus noticed a small crowd forming, whispering, filming, exchanging confused glances. Then came a soft voice from behind the crowd, an older woman clutching her boarding pass. "I know that man," she said. "He's a cop in D.C." The officers ignored her, but the moment was already unraveling. While Marcus tried to stay calm, Dawson radioed in, "Suspect detained at Gate 12. Possible impersonator in police uniform." The airport buzz turned electric. People whispering, cameras rolling. Then, Marcus spoke with steady authority. "Call my chief, now, or you'll regret this." Dawson laughed. "Oh yeah? And who's your chief?" Marcus, with the calmness of someone who's seen worse, replied, "Chief Reynolds, Washington Metro Police Department." Dawson rolled his eyes until his partner's radio crackled. "Dispatch to all units. Be advised, Chief Reynolds is calling on this channel." The crowd fell silent. The radio clicked again. A deep, commanding voice filled the air. "Officer Dawson, release Sergeant Hill." Immediately, everyone froze. Dawson's face went pale. "Yes, sir, we thought." "You thought wrong," the chief's voice thundered. "That's one of my most decorated officers you've humiliated in public." The silence that followed was suffocating. Dawson's hands trembled as he fumbled with the cuffs. "I'm sorry, Sergeant." But Marcus didn't answer. He just looked him dead in the eyes. "Now you know," Marcus said quietly, "what it feels like to be judged before being heard." By the time the chief's call ended, the incident had already gone viral. Videos flooded social media. #Justice for Sergeant Hill trended nationwide. 2 days later, the department issued a public apology. Both officers were suspended pending review. But Marcus didn't celebrate. He just stood outside his precinct, watching the sun rise, thinking about how easily everything could have gone differently. He'd spent years trying to change the image of policing, trying to prove that compassion and courage could exist in the same badge. Yet, in a single moment, he'd been reminded how deep bias still ran beneath the surface. As he walked back inside, his phone buzzed. It was the same older woman from the airport. She tracked him down through a local news station. Her message was short. You didn't deserve what happened, but you handled it with grace. You made us proud. Marcus smiled faintly. Sometimes one act of racism can expose 100 hidden truths. But one calm, righteous response can change 1,000 minds.